Well, yesterday got busy in a big old hurry. So yesterday's video, I told you that the one guy picked up his tiller, and then I told you about the guy who had his push mower, and he was just going to be as picky as all get up, so he was aggravating. But that was the bulk of yesterday's video, was that guy. Well, while I was waiting for those guys to show up, they both called me and said they were coming over. I got another call, and the guy says, and this is a repeat customer, he says, my belt fell off and I can't get down there to put it back on. Is there any way you could come over and put it on? So yeah, I went over there, and you know, he paid me, and didn't even squawk about it. But when I got over there, I realized also the blade was loose. It was wobbling all over the place. So I ran that up on the ramps of the back of the truck and secured it with the winch, and tightened that blade up the best I could. I told him there's no promises on that blade. I don't have a torque wrench or anything, and you know, I'm just using a little bitty old ratchet and a wrench. It was terrible. So did the best I could, but he was cutting trees with that. So let's see, got back and I was unloading the tools from the truck, and I got another call. Again, another repeat customer. And he says, yeah, my mower is sick. Can you come and look at it? So I went over there. I thought, you know, I'd pick it up. And he tried to temporarily fix it, but it just wouldn't fix. It kept falling apart. But you can see that the wheel is all the way turned to the side. And so you got this ball joint here that has come loose. So I was going to put it in the truck, but as Carolyn and I were trying to load it into the truck, the wheels turned on me, which was no big deal. I had thought that might happen. So I thought, well, maybe I'll back it in. And he says, well, I'll just put it on the trailer. Now this guy's, I think he's almost 90 years old. And I said, okay, I'll help you do that. And he said, no, I'll get it. Okay. So a little while later, his wife messages me and says, whew, we finally got it. So he made his wife go out there and help him. Oh, I felt terrible. So anyway, they brought it over. I took the beast, I lifted up the front end and took it off his trailer. So I've got a new set of steering linkages on both sides coming in. It's a whole set, so we'll replace both sides, because this one wobbles around quite a bit. So that one's actually dragging on the spindle. And so we'll get all that replaced, and I'll have to get the beast to lift this up, because I can't use my jack stand, because the wheel, you know, I got to be able to turn the wheels. So we'll get this lifted up, and there's a clip that you got to get in the back to get those off. That's not going to be fun, but we'll get that off. This shouldn't be too big of a deal. And then he wants the whole thing serviced, so you know, that's quite a bit of money there. And oh, and a new belt. He wanted a new belt, so we got a Stens belt, because he always has trouble with belts on that. First time I ever met him was belt trouble. And so while I was over there looking at this thing, this guy calls and says, I got a John Deere. And so he brings it over. Actually, this guy was leaving as this guy was pulling in. So it was just busy yesterday. And he's telling me he replaced the carburetor, but now it's blowing white smoke. And I was like, white smoke? Yikes. That's not a carburetor issue. That's usually white smoke means you're burning oil. And he replaced the carburetor. So I'm thinking, well, it's got to be running black smoke. But he said no. So I opened the hood, just trying to scratch my head to figure out what was going on. And you can see oil is just splattered everywhere. I said, so, you know, what's the oil all about? He says, well, we took the spark plug out and tried to empty some of that gasoline out of the spark plug hole. Oh, so what's happening is this carburetor is leaking gas into the engine. And so when you pull out the dipstick, I know you're not going to be able to see it or smell it, but it's way over full. It's coming up to here. Let's see if we can get this in the camera. So you see the fill holes are right here. Well, if I can get my finger, there's the fill hole, but it's coming way up to here. And when you sniff it, it's gasoline. So it's filled the crankcase with gasoline. I said, well, how long did you run it with that? He said, it started and died. And I said, okay, he said, maybe a second. I said, a second's the perfect amount of time. I said, 2 seconds, we'd been in trouble. So I ordered a carburetor for this. Now I know there's going to be some troll out there saying he just bought a carburetor and you don't know if that carburetor's bad or if he's put it on wrong. And you're right, I don't know. But here's what I think. I did my diagnostic simply by looking at the oil and the gas. And everything tells me that when you got gas and oil, you need a new carburetor. I'm not going to risk emptying the oil, putting new oil in it, starting it up, just to see if the carburetor's bad. I'm just going to go in the assumption that his new carburetor is bad. I'm assuming it's not bad. I'm assuming the old carburetor is what leaked into it. But I'm not going to risk it. He said he tried to start it and it died. Well, it died because it's got gas in the spark plug hole. So it's better for me to go buy a good HIPAA carburetor and just start from scratch. And you know, if you don't like it, then you don't have to use me as a mechanic. Here's what I think. I'd rather overdo it and get it correct than risk his carburetor leaking down the road, catching on fire, and his garage catches on fire, or his house catches on fire. I just don't see it. And I know that, you know, these trolls are so much smarter than me that because I'm wasting the customer's money all the time, but you don't seem to understand. I don't charge as much as everybody else. So to spend 25 bucks on a HIPAA carburetor, I think is well worth the safety margins. That being said, I'm gonna have to change the oil. I mean, obviously it's got gas in it. So then you run it with the new oil in it for, you know, until it warms up, and then you drain that oil and you put new oil in it again. So now we're up to 2 oil changes. But you're asking me to do 3, possibly 3. Let's say I drain the oil, put new oil in it, I start it up, and I realize, nope, the carburetor's bad. Well, now all that gas is back into the engine. So now I got to replace the carburetor plus that wasted oil, and then do 2 more changes. So quite possibly, just by buying the carburetor, I'm saving on that oil. Now I realize oil doesn't cost as much as the carburetor, but it's a good, I don't know, $8 to change the oil, because you got the filter. Well, you know, when you actually talk about the filter, yeah, the price goes up significantly. I didn't even think about that. So you got the oil filter, so 2 oil filters, 3 oil filters, the price goes up quite a bit. So I'm sure the trolls are just absolutely going to eat that one up. But that's my explanation, and I feel good about it. And then I still got this one. And this one, the fuel line will be in tomorrow. This one's running. I just need a fuel line. I got the carburetor cleaned, and I was able to run it on an external tank. So that one, as soon as the part gets here in the morning, I'll change out that fuel line. It'll only take a few minutes, and then I can wash it and get it out of here. And then that other John Deere zero turn, I don't think it's going to take long. I'm dreading it because you convince yourself that tires are hard to do, and they're just not hard to do. I can do a tire in 15 minutes. I can do the bigger tires in less time. They're just easier to work on. Those front tires will be a little bit more challenging, but they look like healthy tires. They don't look dry rotted. When tires start to get dry rotted, they get pretty hard to work with. So then I got a PTO that I got to change on this, and then a belt. So I'll get the beast on this one too. I'll lift up the back end so we can get that PTO out. And that one's going to be expensive. I mean, he's got a lot of money going into this. You figure the PTO is probably 150 bucks just for that one part alone. He wanted a belt, 4 tubes, plus all the labor that goes into that. So I hope he pays. I know I'm not allowed to talk about it. If they don't pay, you're just supposed to give it away for free. Well, what's the point of doing this if you're not getting paid? I don't understand. I understand that there are people, you know, I got chewed out the other day because I was planning on that John Deere that I don't know, she made a lot of excuses. And so you kind of prepare yourself for those situations. Are you going to have to file paperwork with the courts and tax forms and all that stuff if they don't pay? So communicating that with my audience, I don't think is an evil thing. That this is something that you had to prepare for. And that, you know, my plan for that particular lawnmower was I was going to probably keep that lawnmower because it was a better quality lawnmower, even though it was 20 years old, and just sell my lawnmower. You're evil for planning on stealing her equipment. Well, no, I said in that video 4 times. I actually had AI analyze my video to tell me how many times I said it. I hope she pays. I don't want to have to do this. I hope she's not making you know, excuses for not paying. I hope. So they ignored all that, and they only heard that you're not going to take payments. I'm not going to take payments. Once you have that mower, I have nothing. No collateral, none. That's going to force you to pay the rest of it. That's just financial suicide. And there are people out there who honestly believe that mechanics shouldn't be charging what they charge. And here's the thinking behind that. When you go buy something, you feel good about it. You know, you go buy a new TV. You get that dopamine rush. That's pretty good stuff. You go buy a new lawnmower. You get the dopamine rush. Same with a car. But when you take your lawnmower to the mechanic, you're not getting anything other than your mower is running again. That's not anything exciting. So you don't want to pay. And so you look at the mechanic like, well, what'd you do? You put a belt on. Come on, give me a break. Or you changed a carburetor. Give me a break. Well, that guy didn't know what was wrong with it. He didn't know that there was gas in the crankcase. So you're paying for that knowledge, that education. You're paying for the tools that the guy owns. Well, those tools aren't mine. Why am I paying for it? Well, then you're not going to get your mower fixed or your car. You know, people get upset about the diagnostic machine. And I be the first to admit, I hate paying that $100 for the diagnostic at the mechanic. Oh, take it to AutoZone. They'll tell you. Well, AutoZone gives you a list of things, you know, what the readout is, but it doesn't. Somebody's still going to have to interpret that. So you take a mechanic, you spend $100. They have the equipment. I don't. You know, they've got the program that they got to maintain because they got to be able to feed into Ford or Chevy or whatever. So I need them to be able to do that. I would rather pay them the $100, you know, a couple times in the vehicle's lifespan than go out and buy one of my own, learn how to use it, take all the training, years of experience, the risk. What if you fix it and it doesn't work? You're on the hook for the rest of it. So yeah, I'm sure that there are people who are just absolutely aggravated that I make people pay their bill. Well, I mean, I know they are because they say so in the comment section. And that I have to plan out, well, what if they don't pay? Oh, that's just evil. That's evil. Well, it's kind of evil that I have to sit here and worry about it. It's evil that I knew that guy with that push mower was going to be a difficult customer. I knew it. I knew it the day he called me 4 weeks ago. yesterday's video. And he turned out to be a difficult customer. So, you know, I took a loss on that job because I knew, here's what I knew. If I made him pay full price, he'd have went home and he'd call me up and says, hey, this thing doesn't run like it did in 1990. So I would have had to drive 40 minutes to get to his house to take a look at it, pick it up, bring it back. Then I take it back to him. Ah, no, the wheel is wobbly. That you should have caught that on the first go around. You need to fix that. So I'd have been back. So now, you know, the money I would have made of it, you know, what, 2 or 3 times the cost in warranties. And that's what they do. They spend the initial cost and then make you responsible for the life of the mower. And sometimes it's just better to take the loss on that. So anyway, I'm gonna jump off here. So if you'll click that up, next box, take the video over to my other channel. I really appreciate it. Go check it out. It's a brand new video today. So I hope this video inspires you. I don't know. Get busy so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.